Good afternoon and welcome to today's public hearing for the CCDF State Plan. For today's agenda, we will give a short overview of the process for this public hearing and plan updates and changes, as well as provide the opportunity for public comments and questions. This is a public hearing before the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning on the 25th day of June 2021 at 1 p.m. via live webinar and is docketed before the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning as our CCDF State Plan for federal fiscal years 2022 to 2024. The Child Care and Development Fund program provides resources to state, territory, and tribal grantees that enable low-income parents to work or pursue education and training so that they can better support their families while at the same time promoting the learning and development of their children. The CCDF program also provides funding to enhance the quality of childcare for all children. The CCDF plan is how states and territories apply for CCDF funding and is the primary mechanism that the Administration for Children and Families, or ACF, uses to determine state and territory compliance with the requirements of the law and rule. This plan describes and provides assurances regarding the CCDF program to be administered by the state for the period of October 1st, 2021 to September 30th of 2024. This plan will be effective after approval from the Office of Child Care. Notice of time and place of this hearing was given as provided by law by publishing on June 2nd, 2021 in the Indianapolis Star and on the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning website. My name is Crystal Robinson, and I have been appointed hearing officer by the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning to serve in this cause. As the hearing officer, it's important to note that I will not be able to answer any questions or provide feedback on comments on the proposed plan during this public hearing. We do sincerely appreciate your time, questions, and comments, and we will be sure to respond in writing after the public hearing is completed. All individuals desiring to be shown as appearing of record, please enter your name and organization into the chat. If you desire to be heard during this hearing, please enter your name into the chat as well. Additionally, I do want to mention that the proposed plan is posted on the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning's website. Before we open up for comment, I will provide a short overview of changes and updates that were made to the CCDF state plan. Overall updates to the plan included pieces that made this plan reflective of the early childhood education system changes. It is also reflective of new partnerships with the Indiana Department of Health, Indiana Department of Education, and the Indiana Department of Corrections. We were also asked to include COVID-19 initiatives funded by the CARES or CRSA funds, so you will see those embedded throughout the plan as well. Next, I will go into each of the topics and highlight changes. For topic 1, which is define leadership and coordination with relevant systems and funding sources. This section was updated to include partnerships with the Indiana Department of Health. This also was updated to include a partnership with the Indiana Department of Education for families experiencing homelessness and housing insecurities. And this was also updated to include our partnership with the Be Well Indiana initiative. Topic 2, promote family engagement through outreach and consumer education. Updates to this section included outlining the enhanced referral process. It included brighter features and the update that it now includes a chat feature for folks needing information from that site. Also included our Early Ed Connect online application. This section also included our partnership with Infancy Onward and also included the 2-generational framework that is going to be applied to CCRR or Child Care Resource Referral Services. Topic 3, provide stable child care financial assistance to families. This section was updated to include that women transitioning out of the Indiana Women's Prison will be able to access the CCDF voucher program. It's also included that Ivy Tech students will be able to receive a referral to access the CCDF voucher program, and that job search is now an eligible service need. Topic 4, ensure equal access to childcare for low-income children. This section was updated to include that we are seeking a waiver for the market rate survey and narrow cost analysis so that we can include additional data. This also included that agreements in our contracts will now include additional infant and toddler spots. This section also included that 94% of providers participate in the CCDF program. In this section, we were also asked to include information on our stabilization payments through the CURSA funds. It is anticipated that the lead agency, or OECOSL, will utilize a formula produced from information gathered in the narrow cost study to determine the stabilization payment amount. The online application will ask providers to report their current class size by age group, if the class is open or closed, and the typical enrollment for that classroom. Other information will be pre-populated as to minimize the reporting burden on providers, and that information in combination with what is reported will generate a total dollar amount to be provided through the stabilization grant. All assumptions will be displayed so that providers can validate the accuracy of the information or provide additional information if they disagree with the assumptions of the model. Payments will take into account quality level, as well as ways to provide enough funding to open closed classrooms to increase needed capacity. Topic 5, establish standards and monitoring processes to ensure the health and safety of childcare settings. This section was updated to include that all background check fees will be paid by OECOSL until April of 2022. Topic 6, recruit and retain a qualified and effective childcare workforce. This section was updated to include that the 3rd edition of the core knowledge and competencies will be released in fall of 2021. Once the CKCs are released, this will also lead to the career pathway being updated. This section also includes responsibilities of workforce coordinators and has also included updated data related to the Teacher Education and Compensation Help Scholarship Program. This section also includes information on our training, trainer, and approval system. This also outlines additional content on Indiana Learning Paths. This also includes that mandatory trainings for childcare providers will be translated into Spanish. This section also includes that we are offering trainings related to strengthening business practices. And lastly, that the early learning foundations will be updated in fall of 2021 by the Indiana Department of Education. Topic 7, support continuous quality improvement. This section was updated to include various assessments and surveys for our quality activities. This section is now reflective of services and supports offered by Spark Learning Labs. So for example, the 3 tiers of technical assistance and the ISAT. And this section was also updated to include our partnership with Infancy Onward and their support for the early childhood mental health endorsement. Topic 8, ensure grantee program integrity and accountability. This section includes that the CCDF policy consultants, FSSA compliance, and FSSA audit remain to conduct CCDF monitoring and program compliance. Oral statements will be heard at this time, and I do also want to point out that written statements may be emailed to the OECOSL provider inquiry email address, which is listed here on the slide that you see. You are also welcome to send written comments to the address listed at 402 West Washington, and if you could put those to my attention or attention Crystal Robinson, I will keep an eye out for those. I do want to point out that we will be accepting comments regarding the plan through 5 p.m. today. So if you have any comments outside of this particular hearing, please make sure to submit those before 5 p.m. today. As we work to facilitate the hearing, each person who speaks for the record, we do ask that you include your name and the organization that you represent. I do also want to remind attendees that I will not be able to answer questions or respond to comments, but I will be acknowledging that I have captured your comment or question, and we will respond to those in writing. So with that, is there anyone who cares to be heard at this time? Just a friendly reminder to everyone, if you can drop your name, organization, and your question or comment in the chat, I will acknowledge them as they come through. I do also want to point out there is a slight delay in you posting your comment and me being able to acknowledge it. So please go ahead and enter any questions or comments. Okay, great. I see that we've got a few comments coming in. Tarita Brown, I see your comment of you need teachers bad. David, I see your comment here. If the David Sneeden from AYS, if the narrow cost waiver is approved and the survey is deemed as an acceptable alternative, will the data or information gathered in the biweekly survey be made available? Thank you. I've acknowledged that question. I also see a question here from Dana Ford. Can I get contact information for my local Vanderburgh County CCDF office? Thank you, Dana. I've collected that question. We also have a question here from Mary Yelton. Do your CCDF service providers receive training on working with people in poverty? Thank you, Mary. I've recorded that question. Looks like there is a question from Lisa Badgley, Attica Early Learning Center. Is there currently a waiver for market rate averages? I am the only registered or licensed facility in my county, and my market is based on in-home babysitting, if I understand that correctly. Thank you for that question and comment. I've recorded that. Looks like there is a comment from Mary Yelton that says the CCDF service coordinators have been most helpful with serving our parents. Thank you for that comment, Mary. There is a question here from Dejanique Abrams. Is there currently a waiting list for vouchers? Thank you. I've recorded that question. There is a question here from Dana Ford, Kindergate of Evansville. What is the best way for parents to turn in their provider information for renewal? Thank you for that question, Dana. I've got that recorded. There is a question here from Yolanda Connor. Do parents have to ask for vouchers during breaks? Thank you. I've recorded that question. There's a question here from Jasmine Johnson. Would other college students other than Ivy Tech be able to receive the referral to access CCDF voucher? Thank you, Jasmine, for that question. I've got that recorded. There is a question here from Tarita Brown. What is the proper way in contacting a parent when we cannot get in touch with the parent to come in and swipe or approve back missed days? Thank you. I've recorded that question. There is a question here from Jessica Gentry. What is your plan for sharing this information regarding all available resources with parents and providers? Thank you for that question, Jessica. I've got that recorded. There is a question here from or a comment here from Jasmine Johnson. Childcare facilities and homes need to be given more grants to be able to open more spots. It has been very difficult, especially to find openings for infant and toddler rooms. Thank you, Jasmine, for that comment. There is a comment here from Jessica Gentry. The greatest barrier to hiring staff and retaining them is wages. We can't be competitive with other businesses without more than doubling rates. Thank you for that comment, Jessica. I do see a comment here from Mary Yelton that she agrees with Jessica's comment. There is a comment here from Jasmine Johnson. If rates are doubled, it becomes even harder to find childcare for us working parents. In those cases, it is more cost effective for us to stay home. This is for those of us who did not receive vouchers. Thank you so much for that comment, Jasmine. I see that Jasmine here has added to her previous comment that is if the market rates are across the board for those with and without vouchers. Thank you, Jasmine. while we are waiting on more comments or questions to come through, I do also want to point out that we are collecting all of the questions and comments from today's public hearing and the public hearing that took place earlier this week, and we will be responding to those in writing. All of that information will be published on the OECOSL website, so just wanted to make sure that you all had the link to know where to find that once our responses are published. I see a comment here from Tarita Brown that it has also been super hard to hire teachers and teacher assistants when people are making more by staying home and collecting unemployment. Thank you for that comment. There's a comment here from Jessica Gentry that says, Jasmine Johnson, that is why caregivers don't raise rates because we know that. That is why we're looking for continued and expanded help subsidizing salaries. Thank you all for those comments. There's a question here from Tarita Brown that says the COVID grants have been amazing in helping us do what we need to do as a preferred childcare. Will there be more grants to help us? Thank you, Tarita, for that question. Looks like there is a comment here from P. Adala that says the vouchers are a big help. However, it can be difficult for parents, foster parents, guardians, etc., to complete initial process to qualify because of misinformation. Thank you for that comment. Looks like there is a comment here from Mary Yelton that says, and they also have difficulty recertifying. I wish the processes could be easier for parents and caregivers. Thank you for that comment, Mary. Looks like there's a comment here from Jasmine Johnson. If an in-home childcare / learning center charges more than market rate and a voucher is only given for so much, parents are forced to pay the difference amongst the copay, and some homes do raise rates. Looks like she's responding to a comment from Jessica earlier on in the chat. It looks like there's a question here from Mary Yelton. Can you email us the link for the published responses? I can try to see if I can actually drop that link in the chat here. This is actually just the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning homepage. So if you also just go to Google and type in OECOSL, you should be able to find it that way. But I'll see if we can drop this in the chat here for you as well. There is a comment here from Jessica Gentry that the Marion County CCDF office is extremely difficult to get a hold of and help from. Okay, it looks like we have a few more comments coming in. Martha Ray, I might be wrong, but there might be a typo in the above link. You are correct. It is OECOSL, OECOSL, provider inquiry at fssa.in.gov. Looks like Jasmine Johnson is also agreeing that the same for the Allen County office. It looks like there is a comment here from Barbara Griley. I probably did not say that right. St. Joseph County is extremely difficult to get in touch with. Thank you for that comment. There is a comment here from Elaine Anderson that parents believe they are only responsible for copay and not overage. It becomes difficult for providers to get parents to understand that they are responsible for total child care costs. Thank you for that comment, Elaine. There is a comment here from Yolanda Connor. While I understand that you all help with background check fees, home daycare needs increased rates to acquire and maintain quality staff. Thank you for that comment. Looks like Mary is agreeing with Yolanda's comment, but related to registered ministries. Thank you for that, Mary. While we're waiting for some additional comments to come through, also want to point out that if you have thoughts, comments, or questions after today's hearing, you do have until 5 o'clock tonight to email the OECOSL provider inquiry email address with any additional thoughts, comments, or questions. There is a question here from Mary Yelton that says, why does On My Way Pre-K advertise as free childcare when most providers need to charge an overage in order to even attempt to meet expenses, and we still need grants too? Thank you for that question and comment, Mary. If you do have any additional questions or comments, please drop those in the chat. If not, we will look to adjourn here shortly. Seeing and hearing no one else who cares to be heard at this time, I want to thank each of you for your attendance, questions, and comments today. The time is now 1:50 p.m. These proceedings pursuant to notice are hereby concluded, and